What part of town is this?
We're in an area called West Loop. You know, the very downtown part of Chicago is the Loop, you know, and it used to be where the buses would turn around, the trolley cars would turn around, and then now it's where many of the L lines will turn around and go back out. And then this is the West Loop, which is just the west side of the river, the south branch of the Chicago River from the Loop. And when I starting companies in Chicago in the 90s, they were kind of all over Chicagoland.
Okay.
But now they're all, I mean, really like 80–90% of them are within a mile of here, really even within half a mile of here. And the main reason is the reason we're here, which is the two main train stations are right over there.
Okay.
And then the highway's right here,
Yep.
and the L lines come in here, and you can bike here, and all that converges in this spot. So if you have your company within a 10-minute walk of all those stations,
Yeah.
all 10 million people in Chicagoland can work for you.
You mentioned when you started, creating companies. How far back was that? How did you get into entrepreneurship and starting companies?
Well, it's something I always wanted to do. You know, I've been wanting to start companies really since I was a kid. And when I went to college, I went to MIT. And at that time, I think they had the only technology entrepreneurship class in the United States, maybe the world. And the main project in the class was to write a business plan.
Okay.
And so there was this brand new thing that just came out, just was introduced, and I thought this has got serious potential. So I was going to start a company to help businesses use what was the personal computer. IBM had just announced the IBM personal computer, and businesses were excited about the possibility, but they needed help on, like, no one had ever used, they didn't even know what one was.
Yeah.
And so I responded to a contract from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Ohio.
Okay.
To be the PC consultant, to install and troubleshoot and help people write macros and learn how to run Lotus 1-2-3 way back in the day, and I won the contract.
Oh, wow.
The funny thing is, I had never touched an IBM personal computer. They were, at that time, in 1983 dollars, they were like $8,000, so today, I don't know, $15,000. Like, I didn't have that kind of money. So the weekend before, the Monday I started, I had a friend of mine who had one, like, went to his house, like, take it apart, put it back together, take it apart, like, learned everything so I could show up on Monday. But it worked out great, and that really was the beginning that got me on this path. The reason I started CleverSafe is I had previously started a company that was the dominant provider of business-to-business music services in the United States in the pre-iTunes era.
Okay.
And we were the company that originally licensed music. We figured out how to do digital rights, which was interesting, right there when Napster happened and all that. In building that company, one of the things we had to build was a system to store all music. And at that time, that was a huge storage system. And so I bought the state-of-the-art enterprise storage that you could buy, and I thought it was terrible. And there were just so many things about it, like, really? This is not that good. And so we were able to sell that company, Music Now. We didn't make money at it, but we did sell it to Circuit City. And then, I don't know, probably looked at 7, 8 different things.
Sure.
One of them was storage.
Okay.
Massive scale storage systems.
Yeah.
And that's the one that emerged and became CleverSafe. We're eating at a restaurant, and it's a great restaurant called Taste 222. But what's interesting about this place is it's also an incubator for food companies.
Really?
So they have the kinds of things you would need if you were to start a food company. One, it's a venture capital fund that invests in all kinds of, ingredient companies or restaurant companies or all kinds of food-related things. And then they have a back office upstairs that does things like provide the services you need, supply chain, finance, things like that.
Okay, interesting.
And this room that we're in is designed to allow you to test a new restaurant concept. So if you had a new idea for a restaurant, they'll make this that restaurant. They'll serve that menu, they'll set the kitchen up to be in the flow that you think you want to have. If you think your demographic is 40-something women with a certain income range,
sure.
well, they'll have that demographic come and eat the food.
Oh, wow.
And you can test your restaurant out. So they have all kinds of cool stuff here. Well, one of the cool things happening in food right now is this food meets technology, particularly information technology, in a big way. And it's just this explosion of food tech. And it's not just the chemistry of food, but it's some of the models you've seen in the past, like venture investing to do R&D inside a startup company to bring a product to market. Like you're seeing that at a scale now I don't think I've ever seen before. Like Beyond Meat and Impossible, those two companies, those were venture backed with hundreds of millions of dollars of capital to bring the product to market.
Just making sure you all have everything you need. Any ketchup or hot sauce?
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay,
Thank you.
enjoy.
When looking at the startup scene, the growth scene in Chicago, what are some of the strengths and what are some of the weaknesses that you see that Chicago needs to work on?
So one of the strengths of Chicago, I mean the strength of Chicago, which is really the thing that matters in any ecosystem, is people.
Yeah.
There's 10 million people that live in Chicagoland, and because of the transportation infrastructure, they can all get to work in the same place.
Sure.
And there's just tons of talent. Chicago has produces the second most university graduates of any city, second to Boston in the United States. So there's tons of great schools, there's just tons of talent. Now, my company, we are a software development company. Last fall, we had 2,400 people apply for ultimately 22 positions in software development. Like you don't see those kind of numbers anywhere else.
Right.
Both in terms of the volume and then our ability to be selective to find people to do exactly what we need and be outstanding at that. Like that doesn't exist anywhere else right now in the United States. So that's a huge strength. There's one other aspect of Chicago that has been a real advantage for me that I have like mixed feelings about people learning about, because on the one hand I've been able to enjoy almost exclusive access, but other people are starting to figure it out, which is if the nature of the work that you want to do, your company needs is large scale, even as a new company. Like the kinds of stuff I specialize in is software development where you need hundreds of person years of development to bring the product to market, and then hundreds more to continue to enhance it. You need development teams of 50 or 100 or more people, elite level people, and then you need retention where those people want to and do stay average of 8-10 years to really become the world experts in these. So it's like really hard, big problems.
Yeah.
This is the place to do it. My last company, we had a retention average something like 10 years. I mean, you can look at a picture of the dev team 10 years ago and like half of them are still there. That just doesn't happen in other places. And then the quality you can get is second to none. People that have elite level educations, elite skill sets, and demonstrate year after year, they become kind of the experts. So that like ability to do big. If you've got a startup that needs 5 people, there's a lot of places you can do that. You need 100 people, 200 people. There's a lot of advantages to doing that here. There's a bunch of these things. Yeah, you'll see it over Yeah, so Ocient is building the largest, fastest database. It's a database management system for the biggest data sets in the world. We're focused on maybe the 200 largest data analyzing organizations, measured not by the size of the organization, but the size of the data they're analyzing.
What type of companies would that be?
The kind of data sets that get this big today are things like digital advertising, security, financial analysis, things like that. In the future, almost all data will be at this scale, because everything that the world produces, you know, whether it's a new plane or a new building or a new phone or a new car, it makes a whole lot more data than the old one.
Sure.
And that continues on and on. And if you extrapolate that out, you're just going to see these trillion to quadrillion scale data sets everywhere. Pretty much every database architecture that exists today, either commercial or open source, was architected 15 years ago, maybe longer.
Okay.
And things have really changed. Not only has the scale of data just exploded and will continue to explode in the future, the building blocks that are available in terms of hardware and computer systems have changed.
Yeah.
And there's some new fundamentally different building blocks that enable new kinds of architectures to really address this massive scale. To do what we're talking about, you're analyzing a trillion to a quadrillion rows in a table. A trillion is a number that's just beyond the ability of a human to really deal with. If you print a trillion rows out, it circles the Earth 73 times.
Wow.
Like, humans can't look at that.
Yeah.
They just can't. So we're entering this realm where people used to be able to look at data at this scale and kind of maybe deal with it. There's no way they're going to do that in the future. You're going to have some kind of analysis system that's the thing that directly looks at the data and then presents you aggregated results that humans could deal with. So one of the things that is great about this space is we were fortunate to find a space that had cloud scale infrastructure already built. This floor, along with other floors in this building, was built in the 80s by Illinois Bell as a massive data center. And what has been left to us through a couple other owners is 4 megawatts of power, massive air handlers. We have a 100-rack data center for our development lab, and that's fantastic. And we're able to do things that you need to do to build cloud scale capabilities. We're able to do it leveraging that investment that was made by the prior company. And you can see, you know, we have about 100 racks of data center space for our development, and here's some of the systems we have right now that are being used for development and test.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and this will grow and grow. So this is a typical cluster of for us, and you can see where one of our initial customers has a configuration with 8 of these solid state drives, so we've configured each server to have 8, so it's similar. And this is a little cluster to us, a little test cluster. But to give you a sense of the scale that we're talking about, this little test cluster could run the largest retailer's database in the world 5 times.
No way.
And that's just this little cluster. And we're looking at systems that would be, you know, rooms full of these kind of servers.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's really, really large applications for data analysis that exist today.
Could this be Target?
I don't want to name names.
No, I mean like just the size of it.
It could be 5.
It could be 5.
5 targets.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of size.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. So we basically are resetting the kind of price performance of database by about 3 orders of magnitude. So, you know, what you used to be able to do, we can do 1,000 times better, either in terms of price or performance or scale.